Welcome. You're listening to the calming sounds of the Tidepool Orchestra. Side A.
Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of the Tidepool Orchestra. We are on episode, I don't know, what is this, like 40?
It's like, I don't know. It's older than me.
So check it. We both saw the new Aladdin movie. We both have some thoughts on it. We have some thoughts about other Disney shit. We're going to get into that. We're going to start off with Aladdin. We're going to trade basically our thoughts on that. Noah, let's start it off. Just name a scene, we'll talk about it, and we'll just keep on going.
Aladdin, I was actually pretty impressed by it, even though the whole movie is pretty much carried by Will Smith. How about when Will Smith was first introduced and Aladdin rubbed the lamp in the Cave of Wonders? He first pops out and he's fucking blue. He's like, "Genie of the lamp, come on, you gotta heard of me."
I find it interesting, I guess, because the original movie came out in 1992, that I never really got the immediate, correlation between the Cave of Wonders itself and Raj, the tiger that protects Jasmine. There's definitely some symbolism, to draw between those two different things, because otherwise, the Cave of Wonders is just a tiger-shaped head for seemingly no reason. Getting into the Cave of Wonders, I thought was really interesting too. In the original 1992 Aladdin, you see him assembling these scarab beetles, and Aladdin is actually one of the first people that he shoves down there. Whereas in this one, it seems like he's just pecking off people, homeless people, one at a time for years on end, maybe.
Well, in the original Aladdin, I always got kind of the whole vibe that he was pecking off homeless people, or specifically thieves. He's pecking off thieves one by one because they start off the first Aladdin like that. They do the whole Arabian Nights scene, and then there's the cleverly disguised genie talking about the magic lamp and all that. And then it shows Jafar coerce a guy into going into the cave, and then the cave slams down on him. It did that inside of the original Aladdin. Did you remember that?
I actually haven't seen the original Aladdin in a very long time, but I don't know, just the whole having that at the end of the musical introduction, just having this huge swooping camera going every single which way, leading directly to a tiger's mouth, and it just closing up, and then Jafar just standing there going and then walking away. Okay.
It seemed a little too much like it was trying to tell a story that everybody knew. It was just all right, everybody knows what's going on here. Let's just have Jafar shake his head in disappointment, and let's just move on from this.
I feel like that's definitely one of my main complaints about most of these live-action Disney remakes, is they seem to think that you've already seen the original one, so a lot of the jokes or a lot of the setup only works having seen the cartoon.
Yeah. It works very much in tune with that. Sorry.
Do it all the time.
So yeah, no, the Disney live actions do very much do that, where they assume that you've seen the cartoon, and honestly, they're a nostalgia cash grab. They're just playing towards people that have already seen the cartoon, grew up with the cartoons, and they just want to just cash in on that. Because of that, they're not unabashed about skipping some details, or very much just rushing through some details that you already knew, so that way they could have some sort of fancy new scene.
Oh, the fancy new scenes in this were just something else.
Yeah, okay. There's going to be a spoiler warning on this episode because this movie just came out. So you've got about 5 seconds to close out.
That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I was not a fan of when Jafar confronted Aladdin up inside of the whatever tower he was in and pushed him out in a chair into the water. There's no reason why Jafar should have recognized Aladdin. There's no reason at all. Because he was still had the genie's magic.
So I actually wanted to talk about something tangentially related to that, but I feel like there's not really going to be a perfect opportunity for this. The 1992 Aladdin was very interesting for breaking one of Disney's main rules, and that's showing the hero character and the villain character right next to each other with like no lighting changes on just a white background.
Oh wow. When did that happen in the original Aladdin?
Around the same time where Aladdin introduced himself to the Sultan, Jafar is just standing right next to him, and Jafar is like in Jafar gear, and Aladdin's just in like Prince Ali gear, and they're just like standing near each other awkwardly for a moment.
Prince Abubu.
You're Prince Ali from where? Did you not hear me? Blah
Blah,
blah.
blah.
Just
It exists, sure, why not?
I kind of like the Will Smith genie is like half ad-libbing and then the other half is just confidently doubling down.
Yes. I wouldn't say he's better than the Robin Williams genie. I feel like
He's trying to do a really good impression of the Robin Williams genie.
I don't feel like he's doing that. I don't feel like he's dancing on Robin Williams' grave at all. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I don't feel like he's dancing on Robin Williams' grave. I feel like he tried to bring his own panache into it.
They released the Prince Ali song on YouTube, and there's a direct comparison between the Will Smith and the Robin Williams genie. The Robin Williams one, like during the Prince Ali song, is flashing and changing into different characters. At one point, just turns into like a little tiger person to try to get the kids in on it, and just flashing back and forth. In the remake, they do that too, but he's just kind of like leaning behind the kids, going like "Ooh, do 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 do."
I actually I haven't seen that comparison, but what I had seen was the cartoon Aladdin synced up with Will Smith's music with the new
Now
music.
that
And
sounds interesting.
it is interesting. I actually posted it to our Discord earlier.
Whoops.
Um
I think I was in the movie theater when you posted that actually, so
you probably were because you saw it today in the middle of the day and I posted it in the middle of the day.
yeah.
So it was interesting to see that where Robin Williams was doing all these gimmicks where he was pretending to be Joan. Was it Joan Rivers? Was the old Macy's Parade Day float reporter? And
I have
then
no idea, probably.
he was just pretending to be all these random characters, and I don't know. Will Smith did play that down a lot. Like at one point, he pretended to be one of the harem girls. So there's just this harem girl with this distinct beard, and it's just Will Smith in makeup. That's all it was.
The Robin Williams genie did that too for like maybe a total of 3 seconds, but then with the Will Smith one, they really play it out. They keep like closing in so that you see the mustache poking out, and then it falls off, and he's like, "Oops." So
What I thought was really smart about all of the genie songs, about well, not Arabian Nights, but what I thought was smart about
Ooh.
you, never got a friend like me. Go ahead, sorry.
The Arabian Nights actually like asked
Let's go
people.
ahead and go to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Arabian Nights. I actually asked in the Discord because other people had already seen it. Did they include the line from the original, like theatrical edition? It's like they'll cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's
but
barbaric,
that's
but
home.
hey, it's home. They
Yeah,
changed it in the 1992 or 1993 like video release. They changed it to the desert's hot and immense, the heat is intense, but hey, it's home. And then in this one, they changed it again from they changed the word barbaric to chaotic. I made a mental note that they used the word chaotic, and that was not in the original song.
that's pretty impressive. Um, so how many different changes in lyrics did you notice? Like, I think Zia was pointing out earlier that Will Smith had changed.
Wait, wait, I have to cut.
So I think one of the most oddest things is that, as Zia had pointed out, Will Smith had actually changed the lyrics of Prince Ali, and he had actually changed it from Sunday Salam to brush up on your Friday Salam. And apparently that's because Friday was the holy day to the Muslims.
That makes sense, and he does say like I'm the answer to your midday prayers. Something that I was reading right before I went in and saw the movie was some of the Muslim and Arab groups were angry at the original 1992 release, saying it was racist. In part because, like, let's face it, the cutting off your ear thing, not a great look.
No.
But number two, that all the heroic characters have completely unaffected American English accents, but then all of the antagonist characters have very thick Middle Eastern accents.
Like the captain of the guards and Jafar.
Mhm.
Yeah, they both had Middle Eastern accents. Gilbert Gottfried was as Gilbert Gottfried as ever. He was not Middle Eastern in the slightest.
Okay, yeah, but
But
he's also just he's the animal.
yeah,
I hate Iago in this new movie.
I hated Iago always. Let's be honest. Can you think of a better voice actor for an annoying fucking parrot than Gilbert Gottfried?
Bobcat Goldthwait.
I don't know who that is.
You need to look it up. It's not great.
Okay, I'll look it up later. So one of the things I noticed with the two main Genie songs, you got "You Never Had a Friend Like Me," or sorry, just "Friend Like Me," or Prince Ali. They added a lot more of a groovy beat to the background, so that way Will Smith could kind of rap into it as opposed to sing it.
Yeah.
He's still being melodic about it, but his singing is a little bit wooden. I'm not going to lie about that, but he was able to give it his own Fresh Prince flair to it.
When the
His own
when
his
the
own sly pizzazz.
when the movie began on the boat and the little girl is like, "You have to sing it, Daddy," and he's like, "No," and starts walking off and then sings it, and I'm like, "Oh wow, he really isn't singing it, huh? He's just kind of reading it."
I'm going to be
That's
honest.
mean.
When it first started with the Arabian Nights song, it looked like a Hallmark historical movie. Like I don't know if you ever seen the Odyssey in English class. Just this mid '90s made for TV historical movie, and it looked kind of like that sort of quality when it first started. And there was Will Smith on the boat with some kids and his wife. Um, and then the superimposition of the words and the credits over the opening Arabian Nights scene.
Oh God, what was
I
the
felt
Guy Ritchie's name? I counted it 7 times.
yes, and Guy Ritchie is known for British crime dark comedies like Snatch and Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. I found it kind of odd that they picked him to direct it. I felt like it came out okay, but I'm biased. I like Will Smith a lot.
It's weird to me. The entire movie felt like a Broadway adaptation. The choreography was great, but that's just what it was. At no point did you think it was realistic, like when he was jumping over all the buildings and doing somersaults. At no point do you like actually get lost in the moment. It just looks like, oh wow, they really planned this scene out,
I
hitting
wasn't a
every single thing on the way down.
I wasn't a fan of Aladdin's actor, and more particularly Aladdin's actor singing. One Jump Ahead was a great song in the original, and it was just kind of ruined with this new movie. I
You
wasn't a
know,
fan of just watching him just do parkour.
they definitely hired him, I think, just for the dance scene that they wanted when they're at the palace. Like,
That dance scene was actually pretty impressive because he was acting like he was really being forced to do those dance moves.
really had that like disjointed puppetry thing going on.
He looked like a marionette
Yep.
with the way he acted, and it was great because he was actually doing all those dance moves, but he was doing them just slightly poorly to show that he's being controlled to do that. And I
The,
felt like that was actually pretty well done as far as acting goes. Go ahead.
did they have that sort of dance thing in the 1992 one? I feel like they definitely didn't.
No, they did not. There was no dance scene.
Follow up question: in the original
Yes.
1992 one, did they have a part in the "You've Never Had a Friend Like Me" song where they show Genie marionetting him?
Mm,
Because I feel like if they didn't, then they filmed the
They
dance thing,
they
and then
had
they
one where
foreshadowed it.
Genie's hands were dancing. I don't know if they actually had a marionetting. My wife and I were planning on watching the movie tonight, the original 1992, but I had to record this first.
Sorry, I roped you into it, man.
It's all right. I don't want to stay up too late tonight.
Gosh. What else? What else? This fucking movie, man. Like, I'm just speechless.
You're just speechless at this movie.
Speechless. No? Okay. Come
Oh,
on,
the
let's talk about the
song.
fucking song!
The shitty, the
Where the
shitty
entire
princess
movie
song.
just breaks down all of its rules, and they're like, let's have a music video that we can air during commercials on Disney XD.
Yeah, I never liked the princess songs in the place. I hated Reflections from Mulan. I hated.
Well,
Trying to remember which one I hated in Little Mermaid. Probably like my wife loves Part of Your World, so she'd hate me saying this, but I don't like that song that much. It just doesn't play to me.
there's a rule, like, it was an unofficial rule for the Disney Princess line, and then became official during the process of Moana, where every single princess has her own I Want song. Like, it became a plot point in Wreck-It Ralph 2, and the less said about that movie, the fucking better. God, that movie.
So, but they had been doing that for a long time with that whole I want thing. They did that
Right.
before Moana. They did it with Part of Your World. They
Yeah,
did it
that
with
it's like a trope. Every single Disney princess did that. However, the closest Jasmine got in the original 1992 one, I think, was
A Whole New World,
which
because that
was
was the
a
only song she
duet.
sung on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Colors
feel
of the Wind. Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas, I
Pocahontas.
think, was like kind of like that. They're just sort of explaining her worldview, and it's kind of a solo.
I don't. Do they still count Pocahontas as a princess?
Yes, she's a Native American princess. She's the chief's daughter.
Fair.
I mean, they're kind of royalty, but do we want to get into that discussion?
Mulan wasn't. Anyway, yeah. So Jasmine was a princess, but then she became a sultan. And quite frankly, because it's current year, I feel empowered.
I I love your subtle sarcasm. It felt unneeded. It felt really heavy-handed, and I'm not offended by it. It just felt like they were trying to rub something in my face that I don't need rubbed in my face. I'm like, yeah, women can be sultans too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then it felt like they were just trying to just rub it in. I'm like, okay.
Kind of does, because it's supposed to be like a historical Middle Eastern Arab sort of story, but
In which Jasmine would never be a sultan.
but then again, the original Aladdin was a Chinese story that was brought over to the Middle East, and it's like, if you really want to split
I
hairs,
didn't
there's
know that.
supposed to be like a genie of the lamp and a genie of the ring, and it's like,
I have heard of Aladdin's ring because there's a magic ring, really old school card. I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know Aladdin came from China, or the story of Aladdin came from China.
yeah, the original genie was a Chinese Dijin, spelled Djin. I think. Well, obviously it would be spelled in like character writing, but not
Yeah.
Arabic lettering.
I didn't know gins came from China, though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
History is weird when it comes to mythological creatures. Like every single every single historical like fable mythology has had dragons. Every single one. Nobody can trace dragons to the origin.
is Jin kind of like Chinese slash Europe? Because I thought Chinese had their own dragon as opposed to.
Well, dragons and jinn are different, but I'm just using dragons as an example. Like, I don't know. Culturally, maybe it's just been all over the place. How do
Yeah.
you feel about the fact that Will Smith was the only black man in the movie, and he was also the only one with shackles on his arms? Not great.
I don't
Not
want to
great.
discuss this. Hey,
Okay.
Jafar gets shackles near the end, but I mean that's not really a spoiler if you watch the original cartoon.
What is a spoiler is any mention of the handmaid.
Oh, I love the handmaid.
She's such a great character.
She's a doll.
You don't even need to have Jasmine become the Sultan. The handmaid already has a strong, empowering female message, I think. Just every time that
Yes.
she has to make a decision, she's just immediate. Here's what we're doing. Here's the order we're doing them. I have every single thing thought out. We're doing it this way.
hmm And she knows what she wants. She knows what she wants. She wants Will Smith.
And the Will Smith genie, right after becoming free, immediately gets into that relationship where she tells him exactly what he needs to do at all times.
Which is apparently sailing on a boat with their children now.
A boat that's shaped like a lamp, and that he specifies he wants a small one. Itty bitty
I,
living space.
I did not catch that it was a small boat shaped like a lamp. I didn't notice that it was shaped like a lamp.
Yeah, the front of the boat like goes out further, and then the back of the boat is more curly at the end. It's like a lamp,
Wow.
but you take the top off and you put a sail in it.
I like that a lot. I did not notice that. So, I mean, overall, the movie was pretty lackluster. I'd say it was just as lackluster as the other two live action Disney movies that we'll be talking about as well.
Only two?
I'd say it's just as lackluster, but I feel like Will Smith saved this movie.
Did
I
you
was
see the
on.
trailer for Maleficent 2?
That is technically a Disney movie, isn't it?
That
I
is.
saw. I saw the trailer for it. I don't consider that a Disney movie because it's Angelina Jolie. Is it still Angelina Jolie? I can't tell. I don't.
Maleficent. The first. It is. The first
Okay.
Maleficent is an adaptation of Sleeping Beauty. It's
hmm
their live action. By the way, oh my god. They're doing a Cruella DeVille movie
hmm
with Emma Watson playing. Is it Emma Watson or Emma Stone? Either way, she's playing Cruella DeVille. She's much younger. It's a prequel sort of reimagining of
Okay.
101 Dalmatians, and it's from her perspective. And quote from Disney, quote from the solicitations, it explains her hatred of the Dalmatian horde.
The Dalmatian horde.
Horde.
Horde is a very specific term.
I may have
Uh,
I may have ad-libbed that. That might not be it. I've been awake since 4 a.m. But they're trying to explain that Dalmatians are the bad guys,
hmm.
to try to explain
Dal-
why she would want to kill them.
Dalmatians are very vicious dogs. They're a very vicious dog breed. I think like after pit bulls,
How can they
they're like
be?
the they're like the number two cause of dog attacks and dog bites.
But they rescue children from fires.
They don't. They really don't. Dalmatians are awful dogs. They're terrible dogs. They're very vicious. I mean, I guess it really comes down to how you raise them, but Dalmatians are notoriously bad tempered.
What do you think is with Disney's weird fascination recently with adapting all the villains so that they're closer to the heroes, like reimagining Jafar as a former thief that went through all this sort of shit to become the Jafar that we know? Let's stop my question there because that's already a good question, I think.
Um, I don't want to address it with the other two live action movies that I was thinking of, like Jungle Book and Sleeping Beauty, but I did want to touch on that with Jafar having a history close to Aladdin. I feel like that was like Jafar's strongest part, and it was never revisited, and it pissed me off. I mean, it was revisited when he took the lamp, but go ahead. Sorry.
I want to finish my question, but at the same time, I want to ask. I want to poke and prod at this thing. How many live action adaptations do you think Disney has done? Do you think it's just this Jungle Book and Maleficent?
This Jungle Book and uh, Beauty and the Beast. Maleficent, I don't really consider a live action adaptation because it focuses around Maleficent as the main character, so it's just a whole retelling.
Well, they also did
Uh,
Snow White and the Huntsman, and then the sequel to that did not have Snow White.
Snow White and the Huntsman isn't a retelling of. It isn't a remake of Snow White. Brothers fairy tale.
But it's still by Disney.
It might still be by Disney, but it's not a live action remake. In the same vein that Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, and this are remakes, and they're all remakes of Disney Renaissance.
Did you know that the Maleficent, if you waited through the entire credits, had an after credits scene that was just like a shot of a glass slipper?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the
No, I
live
didn't.
action Cinderella coming out, which only came out 3 years later.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't actually seen Maleficent. I just know that it's.
It's so hilariously bad.
Is it? I've seen like the ending scene of it where she grows wings and she flies all around this chapel or castle or some shit, and there's like a ring of fire or something.
Have you seen that show Lucifer?
Yes, I have. In fact, my wife is watching it in the living room right now.
Okay, so
It's a pretty good show.
Season
Go
1 of
ahead.
Lucifer, where he finds his wings inside of like a display case, and then he gets angry, and then eventually they grow back.
Yes.
Okay, so you have seen Maleficent. That's it.
That's pretty much Maleficent right there.
Except, and gonna say no word here, guys. Gonna say no word. They treat the clipping of her wings as a rape scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
the prince or a king, I forget which. Like he becomes a king later on. He might have been a prince at the moment, but he basically sleeps like he and Maleficent, while she still has the wings originally, are like lying down in a field, and she falls asleep, and then he pulls out these like magic-defying iron chains and pulls them tight, and the next thing you see is her waking up alone, freaking out, covered in blood, her wings are gone, and then she's just like holding herself and looking off into the distance while sad music plays.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah. So naturally, that's going to be the headlining for their new live-action adaptation expanded universe, because it ends with an after-credits scene, like implying that Cinderella is in the same story.
So,
They're
are we moving away from Aladdin now?
I feel like we are, but we're also going to take a short break, and then we're going to come
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bye. I love you.
End of side A. Please continue on side B.
On January 31st, Mickey will be leaving.
Hello?
Sleeping Beauty will go back to sleep. And Mowgli will go back to the jungle.
I want to stay here with you. Goodbye.
Because on January 31st, Disney will stop selling The Jungle Book, Sleeping Beauty, and Fun and Fancy Free. So before they go back into the Disney vault for years to come, hurry.
Hurry!
Don't miss your chance to own these magical Disney videos before they disappear.
Welcome back. You're listening to the calming sounds of the Tidepool Orchestra. Side B.
Alright, at this point, welcome back to the Tidepool Orchestra. Forget which number we're on, that's fine. We're still talking about live-action Disney adaptations.
And hello.
Here with me today, we have Noah.
Hi.
Hi. I'm going to, while you say something, look up all the different live-action Disney ones to make sure I'm not forgetting them.
So, what Brian and I came to the conclusion of during our little intermission was that there's two kinds of Disney live action in the modern era. You've got stuff that's remake of Disney classics like Golden Age Disney, stuff like remakes of Cinderella, remakes of Snow White, and remakes of Sleeping Beauty. And those are usually different stories. Like they're similar and they're Disney properties, but they're retellings of a different story. Like instead of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's Snow White and the Huntsman. Instead of Sleeping Beauty, it's Maleficent, which is based around the villain. It's from her point of view. So those I wouldn't really consider like true Disney live action remakes. That's the reason why I'm kind of biased towards the Disney Renaissance remakes, is because they have still the same core of the movie as the Disney Renaissance films,
Right,
which were
right.
the late 1980s, starting with like Little Mermaid, going throughout the 90s.
Now, here's something I just realized, and I think we should
Yes.
consider for these live action adaptations: is Alice in Wonderland from 2010, the Tim Burton one, kind of counts because they had all of these like yearly ones. You have Maleficent 2014, Cinderella 2015, Jungle Book 2016, Alice Through the Looking Glass 2016, Beauty and the Beast
I
2017.
I don't consider collaborations between Tim Burton to be Disney films because they're Tim Burton films. Just
So you
like
wouldn't count Dumbo as one?
Is Dumbo Tim Burton?
Yeah, the new Dumbo movie from earlier
Oh, the
this
new
year.
Dumbo.
Yeah, the new Dumbo
That
was no, the cartoon Dumbo from 1941.
I'm like, yeah, Tim Burton wasn't alive then. Genius.
Just stupid. Brian is an idiot. No, the Dumbo from March.
I never saw it.
Me neither.
It's a remake of a Disney classic, but it sounds like it hadn't changed too much from the original, considering they didn't change the name of it at all. So my Umbrella.
They took out the crows. I know that.
What I do know is that I don't, even though Nightmare Before Christmas came out in 1993, I don't consider it to be Disney Renaissance because it was Tim Burton to its
It was
core.
also Touchstone Pictures.
It was Touchstone Pictures? Nightmare Before
Yeah.
Christmas wasn't Disney?
Touchstone Pictures was still owned by Disney, so it's in the same sense that the new Avengers Endgame is a Disney movie.
I have an important question.
Okay.
How strong is Spider-Man?
How strong is Spider-Man? Fuck, dude. No, we figured this out. 4. He's 4 strong. I made an entire series based on this.
Is Jack a Disney princess?
Jack Skellington?
Yeah.
Well, the thing about skeletons is you can't really tell their gender.
But his name is Jack.
Which could be short for Jacqueline.
Their name is Jack.
Jack from Nightmare Before Christmas is trans, confirmed. No, I mean...
Non-binary.
Non-binary, you're right. Gender queer, I think, is what they say now.
Yep. Okay, so...
No, Jack is definitely male, because he refers to himself as a king.
Let's talk about some other Disney live action. I think we had some good takes on Aladdin.
Okay. I actually... Let's start off with a good one. Okay, you ready for this? I'm gonna throw you a real curveball. Get ready.
I'm bracing. I'm bracing for impact.
102 Dalmatians.
What is this?
Released in November 22nd of the year 2000, it was a sequel to Disney's other live-action adaptation of 101 Dalmatians.
Was it? Was this? No, this wasn't the late 90s live action.
They had a 1996 live-action adaptation of 101 Dalmatians, which the original cartoon came out in 1961. Then they made a sequel to that live-action adaptation of 101 Dalmatians called 102 Dalmatians. Do you get it? Because it's like the movie, but number 2. They had this great song. It was sung about Cruella de Vil, where she went through therapy to try to figure out why she hates dogs so much, which again was not part of the original story. And they said, something's not right, something's not well. Is she from heaven or is she from hell? And I got in trouble as a child because I sang along to it, and they were like, hell's a bad word, Brian, and I was 9.
You're like, damn it, shit, fuck!
I can't say the
God
fucking
damn it.
bad word, god, fuck!
Okay, so why do you like torturing me?
I just want to dig deep into these memories and be like, hey, remember this old movie from the year 2000 that there's no reason to remember and that they're trying to get you to forget?
Was this live action sequel 102 Dalmatians? Was it direct to video like most Disney sequels?
It was theatrical.
It was a theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually shitty unknown Disney activity, just cash grabs. And this was a Disney sequel that was a theatrical release. Was 101 Dalmatians in 1996 the first Disney live-action remake?
No, in 1994 they did a live-action Jungle Book.
That was Hallmark. Hallmark did that.
I'm gonna look it up right now, but it's listed under Disney.
Speaking of Hallmark, because I already mentioned before that the when there's just the kids and Will Smith on the boat, it looked like the opening to the Odyssey.
Nope, I have the poster here for the theatrical release of the 1994 Jungle Book, and it says Walt Disney right on it.
No way.
I'm almost sure, but let me zoom in a lot because I don't have my glasses on. Yep, it says Walt Disney. It's really low quality though, but it says it.
Let's talk about was it 26/7 Jungle? Let's talk about the Jungle Book that came out more recently.
The more recent live action Jungle Book, yeah. That was 2016. It was weird.
It was.
My roommate at the time was obsessed with it and kept wanting to watch it like every day. And I'm pretty sure he was a furry, come to think of it. Because he was obsessed with that movie and obsessed with the animal movie where they all sing by Blue Sky Pictures, I think. I think it was just called Sing.
Oh, yeah. Secret Life of Pets?
No, not Secret Life of Pets, but...
I'm saying it looked like it.
Yeah, it looked like it, but it was really bad, and that and Zootopia, so I'm pretty sure he was a furry. Just those, four movies.
He probably was a furry.
There's a lot of weird things.
So, I felt like Bill Murray was a highlight in that movie. I felt like he actually made a decent Baloo. I fucking hated Christopher Walken as King Louie, though. Oh my god. It was just so god-awful. Ooby-doo. I want to be like you.
Oh, I just realized I don't think I've ever seen this movie sober.
The 2016 Jungle Book?
I don't think I've ever seen it when I wasn't blackout drunk. I don't remember any of this.
You should be happy. He played King Louie the orangutan. And at first he sounds kind of like an Italian mobster, which I'm like, okay, that's okay, because he's kind of a mob boss. But then he starts half-heartedly singing I Want to Be Like You, which is an amazing musical number from the original. And it just doesn't feel right. It's fucking awful. I really wish they had kept I Want to Be Like You the way it was from the 1967, 1969 Jungle Book, the original Jungle Book by Disney, cartoon.
1967.
1967. I really wish they kept it similar to that, but then it occurred to me, I'm like, King Louie was an orangutan, jazzy, scat singing jazz man, and I'm like, maybe when they tried recreating that in 3D, it came off kind of like a caricature. So maybe they just wanted to avoid that altogether.
That makes
sense.
It's
kind of sad. It makes sense. It's just kind of unfortunate because it was such a classic scene in the original movie, and I feel like it actually went well in cartoon. It just might not fly so well in the modern day with 3D, or with computer rendering.
I think one of my problems with these new live-action adaptations of the Disney movies, especially the Disney princess movies, is that they just seem too dirty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Go ahead. It looks like the princesses have been wearing their dresses and trekking through all the forest and all the mud and everything, which, granted, is what they're doing in the movie, sure. However, I don't want to see it. I like the cartoon more because the dress still looks pristine and they still look more heroic because of it.
The cartoon, yeah, it kept the sort of mystical wonder a lot better.
Their beauty is never tarnished. It feels like a real fairy tale.
Yeah. Yeah, and the movie doesn't portray that. The movie tries to get super realistic with it by going live action, and
which makes so much sense. Like in the live action Cinderella, when they do a really realistic looking scene where the pumpkin, when it's growing into the carriage, they forget to bring it out of the greenhouse first, which I didn't know they had greenhouses back then. Go figure. And then it just shatters all the glass. But it also shatters the glass ceiling, really showing how empowered they are.
I can't comment on this because I haven't seen the live action Cinderella, but good on you.
Sometimes
Good on you, buddy.
Sometimes I really do envy you. My stepbrother really wanted to see it, and so I had to watch it with him.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Why do you want to watch that?
He likes musicals. It's fine.
I like some musicals. I like rock operas. Like I like Pink Floyd The Wall. I like Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh, that movie was a trip the first time I saw it.
Yeah, Hedwig will fuck you up for life.
Hedwig fucked me up so bad.
Yeah.
Probably did not help that I was like... Anyway. I don't want to finish that line on camera. Beauty and the Beast, we both saw that, right?
Yes, I did.
What was with the book?
What book?
In the live-action adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, 2017, one of the curses... The Beast has two curses. He has the rose, which, you know,
Yes.
whatever, we all know the rose. But he also has a book that you can open up, and it lets you travel to any place in the world anytime you want. And he says...
Oh, shit! I forgot about that. I completely repressed that.
Yeah, fucking good idea, repressing things. I wish I
Yeah.
could do that with anything.
And she relives her mom dying of the plague and her dad, like, running away from it.
It's not a time travel book. She goes to the point where it happened, and it's just been abandoned, and she, like, finds things on the ground that makes her have flashbacks. But the book is not a time travel thing. It's a literal instant transport device to anywhere in the world.
Bending the laws of space and time are tied together. If you can bend the laws of space, you can bend the laws of time in a way.
I mean, I want to argue with you, but that's basically the premise right now of my favorite character and my favorite Japanese thing. So, like, I can't argue with you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, point Noah. But it's like that book was in the back of my mind when Aladdin got transported to the snowy area, and then Genie and the carpet make a little deal behind Jafar's back, and Genie like whisks the carpet away to save Aladdin. But I'm like,
didn't that happen in the original?
In the original, like, I'm pretty sure Jafar flicked him and he flew off into the distance and carpet flew after him. I don't think he was magically teleported.
I don't know if he flew off into the distance from Jafar flicking him, because I know Genie did that, and he did that in the remake.
The whole palace tower was lifted and transported over there. Because there's that weird CG tower scene where it like rotates and he's like ducking. He thinks he's gonna die, but the window is perfectly placed. And
do you know why the Aladdin remake was a good movie, Brian? Because we're on side B and we made our way back to talking about it.
I don't think it's a good movie, Noah.
It's better. It's better than Sleeping Beauty, and certainly better than.
I think it's one of the better Broadway performances I've seen in a theater, but I don't think it's a good movie.
I'm just a sucker for Will Smith.
Will Smith is pretty great. Remember that time he fought a robot spider in the Wild West? Sorry, the Wild West.
I never saw that movie. I had a McDonald's toy of that robot spider when I was like 8 years old, but I never actually saw that movie.
Right, so sorry, I'm coming back to my thought on the fuck it. So Aladdin's in the snowy area, and I'm thinking like, okay, if they're really trying to do a cinematic universe, there's so many different points, like so many different characters that could show up right here as a cameo in the snow. They're doing Frozen 2, you know they're gonna do a live action Frozen. You know what's gonna happen. They already the year after Frozen came out, it became an entire season for Once Upon a Time. Disney is really pushing Frozen. Frozen 2 is coming out theatrically.
Yes, Frozen 2 is coming out theatrically, which I heard about, and I thought that was actually pretty amazing because it's a Disney sequel that's not going direct to video. But as far as Frozen live action, here's the thing: is that all of these live action films are playing towards nostalgia. They are remaking old Disney films. I feel like Frozen is still too fresh to do a live action remake. Maybe in the year 2030 they might do that.
But see, that's the
But
thing when it comes to they're relying too much on nostalgia, but also you don't count some of these because they don't adapt like directly from the old cartoon movies.
you're
Like,
talking to somebody who's currently uploading a Let's Play Quake series on your channel.
it's our channel, first off.
It's our channel, but you're talking to somebody who's uploading a Let's Play Quake series. I'm the nostalgia king. I don't think there's ever really a bad time to sell nostalgia or to cash in on nostalgia. I don't think there's ever a bad time for that. Just if you execute it poorly.
The live action Alice Through the Looking Glass is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard for a movie.
I think the live action Tim Burton one from 2010 was it?
Yeah.
Was it looked awful. I was just like, why is the Mad Hatter ginger? I have no fucking interest in this. He scares the shit out of me just looking at him.
Well, I mean, the reason that he's ginger is because the thing that why he's called a Mad Hatter is that the hats had like a chemical in them, so if you wore them too often, you would go crazy, and that chemical also like changed your hair color. So there were reasons and thought processes behind it. But then in the sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, they rely too heavily on a one-off joke where the Mad Hatter, it's always tea time for him at the tea party, and the reason it's always tea time is because he pissed off Time, who they refer to as a person. Like Alice is like, "What do you mean time doesn't move here?" And they're like, "I want to talk about time like that if you knew him the way I do." And they turned that into an entire premise for a movie. So I don't think these are all like cringing on nostalgia, though definitely Christopher Robin was.
I did not see that movie. I only saw like one preview.
Yeah, but the preview definitely makes it look like it's just
Hot
going on.
garbage.
Yeah.
Okay, there are bad nostalgias.
Adding that book into Alice, or not Alice, adding the book into Beauty and the Beast, I think is really when they're pointing out like that and showing like the after credit scenes showing all the different things like Cinderella's slipper. They're trying to make their own MCU, but they have no actual plan on how to bring it all together. I think Wreck-It Ralph 2 may be their actual like test ground to see how audiences would react to all the princesses together.
You know, you keep bringing up Wreck-It Ralph 2, but I only saw like half of the movie. I don't know anybody who's actually sat down and or Wreck-It Ralph 2. Unless I know you, I guess.
Wreck-It Ralph 2 is a traumatizing experience, and I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but it's just...
It's alright.
They go online, and then they make a point of going to the coolest website ever. Just bring me to the best website ever made, and they go to Disney.com.
No, it's You're the Man Now, dog.
Well, that's the other half of the movie. One half of the movie is Ralph going on YouTube and becoming famous so that he can rack up views and convert them into Bitcoin so that he can use it to order a new steering wheel for the Sugar Rush video game arcade and have it shipped to the arcade that they live in. That way, the Sugar Rush arcade is not unplugged by the owner of the arcade. Which, there's so much wrong there because they have like...
I had no clue.
They
I
have
had no
2
clue that
days.
Ralph was a capitalist.
Yeah. Ralph doesn't know what he's doing either. He's just like, they have this whole montage of him doing all these viral videos, like Fortnite dancing and playing a piano with the cat ears on, just every single outdated meme reference they could think of to try to bring in those Zoomers. Haha. But then the other half of the movie is them showing every single Disney-owned thing they could at a Disney.com thing, and then trying to say, "Oh, Vanellope is a Disney princess. Look at her. Here's her with all the other Disney princesses. Look, that's a stormtrooper from the Star Wars. We bought that. And here's a bunch of the Avengers, and that's a Stan Lee cameo." And it came out like 3 weeks after Stan Lee died.
That's they should have edited that out. They should have caught that.
They had 3 weeks. It was already in most of the theaters. They couldn't change it. It's not great.
That's the fucking travesty. And really, what it is it's just Disney gloating about all the different franchises.
Probably the worst part about that too is it wasn't like drawn to look like Stan Lee. It was drawn to look like a Funko Pop of Stan Lee. So,
Do you know what I think is Jungle Book live action's greatest crime? I mean, you admitted you only saw the movie when you were blackout drunk.
yeah.
They downplayed all the music. They only had like 2 songs.
They've been doing that. That's one of the things I liked about the new Aladdin is they kept most of the songs, and in fact, they even added some new ones which don't fit that well.
Well, yeah, we'll talk. We already talked on that. The song, it's garbage.
Well, it's not just Speechless, the music video near the end that shows like all these magical effects and she's like pulling down curtains and they're like in slow motion falling. It's the fact that that was the reprise and that they had another copy of Speechless near the beginning, which
they did.
It felt out of place to begin with and it felt out of place to end with.
Yeah,
I get why they did that because every other song is like, here's the first half and then here's the second half later, recontextualized. But with Jasmine, it's not recontextualized. It's just like, now I'm even more convinced that I'm right. Just fair.
I felt like Ewan McGregor in Beauty and Ewan McGregor sucked at singing Be Our Guest. I was... Go ahead.
The character designs in the new Beauty and the Beast were so weird.
They're very weird. I hated the Beast's new solo song while he's watching her walk away from his castle and he's just singing to himself in the tower. I'm like, that's such a corny fucking song. I hate that.
I liked it, but
you did?
I liked that song, but it only works when they redo the Beast so that he's like hyper literate and like he's a poet stuck in a beastly body. Because in the original 1991 Beauty and the Beast, he was not literate.
No.
She had to teach him how to read.
Yes.
Like in the new one, he shows her the library and she's like, "You have Romeo and Juliet?" And he's like, "Pedestrian, fucking thespian." Like,
yeah.
He's stuck in the castle. What else is he gonna do except not use his teleportation book to go anywhere?
Yeah, he'd kind of not be stuck in the castle then.
It's like, you can fucking... I don't know. So I thought that they were going to try to do anything with that plot element, like for Aladdin, like, oh, he's stuck in the snow and the carpet isn't like already going there. Maybe they'll bring in literally anything since they've been hinting at it for the last 9 years.
They've been hinting at an Aladdin remake for the last 9 years?
No, they've been hinting that these live-action adaptations take place in the same universe ever since Maleficent, which came out in 2010.
Oh, see, I've never seen Maleficent, so...
It's just... I don't know, man.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But they're doing a... Before we close out, let's talk about some of the live-action adaptations yet to come. Lion King comes out in July.
Uh-huh.
So that is weird.
In July? That's like 2 months from now. Like, month and... I'm going to say a month and a half on average because it's the end of May.
Yeah. July 19th. So that's coming out pretty soon. That looks weird, but for it to be classified as live action, we all have to recognize the fact that there are going to be humans in it at one point. Otherwise, it counts as CGI. And they're advertising it as live action, so they include a scene in that with humans.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
I do. Script leaked. Want to know?
Script leaked?
Yeah, a lot of these Disney movies, the scripts leak. It's pretty great. For the Lion King one, Simba and Nala meet up, and Nala tells him that he has to go back to Pride Rock. This is after he meets Timon and Pumbaa and after he's an adult. And he's like, okay. cut to him seeing some human, like, tribesmen, like African tribesmen.
Uh-huh.
And then he watches them working together, and that gives him the idea to go back to Pride Rock. After he already got the idea to go to Pride Rock.
That seems a little repetitive.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't include that scene, you can't call it a live-action adaptation.
So, who's gonna play Scar?
I can look that up. Maleficent 2 comes out in October this year, which, good luck trying to beat Addams Family.
That looks awful.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
Trying to figure out where it is. John Oliver was cast as Zazu.
It's fitting.
Rafiki.
Do you know who the original Zazu was?
Mr. Bean.
Yes,
Brian
Rowan
Atkinson.
Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson.
Brian
It was
Atkinson.
me. It was Brian Atkinson. Scar is going to be Chiwetel Ejiofor. Looks like a British actor, French name. It looks like. They're doing Maleficent 2. They're doing Lady and the Tramp, which is November this year. I haven't seen any trailers for that yet. I think I
Who
saw a
actually
still
wants
image.
to see that?
Hey, furries.
Yeah.
Kind of want to see two dogs make out over some spaghetti. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
You looked up the pronunciation?
No.
Okay. Mulan comes out next year in March. That could be good, but they already stated that they're not going to have any of the songs. So, fucking pointless.
Yeah. No. Mulan was an amazing movie.
Just
Be a Man. That was an amazing song, and they're not going to have it? Yeah, no.
No, I'll make a
Watch
man
that,
out
Peter.
of you.
I'll make a man out of you, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering the refrain from the background. Be a man.
And that had
won't
such
have
a
that in
good that song had such a good ending because it ended on like no, I'm thinking of a different song. Girl Worth Fighting For. They end that song on the word fighting, and then they show like a deserted, fucking burnt down village with a doll. By the way,
a doll.
which I found out the original title for that movie that Disney was settling on before Mulan was China Doll. Which fucking hell, man.
Oh my god.
So that explains so much emphasis on the doll over and over, but also, could you fucking imagine? The 90s were a dark time.
That was the end of the 90s too. That was 1998. I remember 1990. That's fucked up. There's no way they could have thought that would have flied in 1998.
I think they were writing it while they were doing the Aladdin thing, and then the Aladdin was 1990. No, Aladdin was 1992.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They did Tarzan right after Mulan. Tarzan came out in 1990.
Yeah, they don't have the rights to Tarzan anymore. I'm sure
Really?
if they did, they would definitely do a live-action remake. Yeah, they do not have the rights to Tarzan anymore.
Well, at Disneyland, there's the Swiss Robinson Treehouse. Got changed to Tarzan's Treehouse. What is it now?
I try not to think about what Disneyland has become in recent years because they changed all of Tomorrowland to just Star Wars Land.
That is disappointing.
It makes me so fucking upset.
Did they change Space Mountain? Because if I remember right, wasn't Space Mountain based off of Black Hole?
Space Mountain, I think, stayed the same, and they already had a Star Wars ride in there, but...
Star Tours.
Yeah, Star Tours, which was fine. I've never been a fan of Star Wars. Cruella, which I mentioned earlier, that comes out December of next year. That looks... It looks okay, I guess. I've just seen the poster, but... I don't really have anything bad against it. It's going to be better than 102 Dalmatians, I can tell you that fucking right now.
So, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a couple more. We don't have dates for them yet, but they're in the Wikipedia article, and I want to bring them up.
Go ahead.
Sword in the Stone.
That could be okay.
That could be okay, but it's going to be a Snow White and the Huntsman sort of situation, and you fucking know it is, where
If
it's
it's
just
a
going to be...
gritty retelling of a fairy tale, I'm okay with it, because Sword and Stone is already gritty.
It's a gritty retelling. It's going to be a gritty retelling, and the magic fight is going to be fucking Harry Potter bullshit. It's not going to be shape-shifting. I can tell you that right now.
Oh god, no, it's got to be shape-shifting, and they're not going to
It's
do
got to be.
It's going to be a lot more cool to the general audience, a lot more cool, and a lot easier to animate. Bright lights coming out of wands and bullshit.
I fucking hate what Harry Potter has done to movies. Live-action Pinocchio. They haven't tried that yet.
Didn't they?
They've tried it a lot. It doesn't work, but Disney is doing it again. Pinocchio, by the way, one of the first Disney canon animated films, so they got away with saying words like ass and hell and showing drinking and smoking, all of which you can't fucking do. Well, you could say hell in Hunchback. Which brings me to the next one! They're making a live-action Hunchback in Notre Dame.
Hellfire! Desire!
I can't wait until they show all of the horrible past of Judge Frollo that justifies everything that he did in that movie.
Something tells me from the way you're saying horrible past of him, it's not going to justify anything. It's just going to show more of how person he was.
Well, every single villain so far, we have a whole franchise building off of the most evil, unrepenting characters of Disney canon, Maleficent, and now she's live action. Let me tell you, live action Lilo and Stitch. So here's the thing: out of all these other movies, Lilo and Stitch, the animated movie, came out in 2002.
It's outside of the Renaissance.
It's outside the Renaissance, but it's a new demographic to market off of for nostalgia. No date on it yet, but by the time it comes out, I'm thinking 2023. Our people, fuck, dude, 2023. That's over 20 years after the original came out.
Yeah, the original movie is going to be old enough to drink.
I want to die.
Yeah.
And then finally, they're doing a live-action Little Mermaid, which...
That's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fucking almost... It's been 30 years this year since they were...
And honestly, if they do a live-action Little Mermaid and have it gritty like they're doing with all these other live-action ones, that's fine as long as you include the scene where Ariel first gets her legs and she's climbing out of the water. That's all I ask for. Just give me that naked scene. The rest is worth it.
Yeah, it's going to be the first Disney movie rated R.
What if... They should fucking get Neil Cicierega to write for it.
So, my question to you, Brian,
legs. Yep. Question.
Out of the Disney Renaissance remakes, which... Shit, Jungle Book wasn't even Disney Renaissance.
No, Jungle Book was 60s.
It was. It feels like Renaissance, but it's not.
That's because... Actually, there's a reason for that. The VHS tapes all came out around the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh.
So you had
the VHS tapes. The thick white border on the vinyl covering. Yeah.
This is what I think is happening. They can't do the Disney Vault anymore.
What do you mean?
The Disney Vault from fucking... So the original marketing scheme with Disney was we re-release the movie in theaters every couple of years. That way each new generation of kids can go see it with their parents. The parents are going to go want to watch it because it's like nostalgia. So that was the original plan. VHS tapes came out. Disney at first is very apprehensive on the subject, but eventually realized that they can make money by selling the VHS tapes. Problem: they can no longer release those movies in theaters anymore, because who's going to want to go to the theater when you have the tape at home and you've been watching it 30 times a day? So what they do is they have the Disney Vault. The VHSs are available, but for a very limited time.
Yes, and because of that, the DVD prices skyrocket.
Right.
Disney Renaissance film without paying for non-special edition.
But then you have the new marketing thing, which is like Netflix and Hulu, which Disney doesn't want to put their movies on, but they realize that that's a very steady marketing campaign.
So Disney has been making their own streaming service in secret. Well, not in secret.
Yeah, the new Disney streaming service has been out for a while. They've been testing with different Disney shows. Star Versus was app exclusive. They'll release like 5 episodes at a time on the app that you can pay for, or you can wait and watch the episodes when they come out a month later on TV. So the app is already making money, but now they're putting all of the Disney movies on there, and they can't bank on like re-releasing or do the Disney Vault anymore. So now they have to do these live action remakes, and that's why it's been steadily increasing from 2014 onward to have them yearly, maybe 2 a year sometimes.
Yeah, like in this case, we're going to get 3. We're going to get Aladdin, we're going to get Lion King, and then we're going to get Lady and the Tramp.
And Dumbo came out earlier this year, so that's actually 4.
Oh, yeah, I forget about Dumbo. I forget about the original Dumbo, too.
Yeah, Dumbo was not that great.
Dumbo is pretty dumb. Bo.
On that note, final word.
Menagerie.
Charlatan. And with that, the newest episode of Tidepool Orchestra is done. Please like, subscribe, comment, and wait a year or 2 and we'll do a live action remake.
I love you.
I love you too. Click.
Thank you for listening to the calming sounds of the Tidepool Orchestra.